Hey, Jen, it's great to be connected again. It's been several months, I think, since we last connected. So I know a lot has changed since we talked in the past. But first of all, I like to say that, we first connected through BLM, which is Entrepreneurs Group. And, I share that because not because of the group itself, but of the way I've been connecting with other people. And, and it's not just you seeking help, but other people are out there, providing support for you for whatever it is that you're doing. There's other people out there. So I just share that stuff with people, as far as connection wise, I like how we connected. So, Jen, let's open it up with just share who you are today, and then we can go ahead and go from there.
Who I am today. It changes every day lately. Now I am, let's see, I'll give you some interesting facts about me. So I just retired from mortgage origination. And I'm not like actually retired, like I'm not sitting home picking my nose all day or something like that. I am working hard still, but just in a different industry. After almost 30 years in the mortgage industry where I did very well, I basically gave it all up because I had this calling that would not go away to become a coach and to really start teaching people to do what I did. And it's not just from a sales perspective or anything like that. It's so much more. I show people, I've always been like a big balance person. I believe that you can have, I call it high level success at home and at work, where you have balance and, you don't have to kill yourself working all the time, but you can still do very well. So as part of what I coach is, how do you have both? Because a lot of people think you can either have success or you can have like balance and well-being, but you can't have both. So I show people how they can actually have both. So that's what I'm doing today. And I also have been speaking a lot on this same subject. So it kind of depends on where I am talking. I'll do some talks in the Christian realm because I am a Christian author. I've written 2 books. But I also speak in the, corporate atmosphere about basically the same thing. And we're talking about high level success at work and at home and how to be, not only a dynamic salesperson and a high achiever, but to be that same person when you get home too. Right? Because I don't know about you, but I spent a lot of my years where I was doing great at work and I was successful, right, on paper, but I was not successful at home at all. And I screwed up a lot of relationships, a marriage, by not leading a balanced life. So I talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
In speaking engagements that I do. So that's me today. I'm just a girl from Buffalo, New York, who became a Texan, back in the late 1990s, which seems like forever ago, but yesterday at the same time. And, just happy to be doing this now. Like I'm excited. It was a big step for me. I literally was like, okay, I'm just going to do it. Just got to walk off the edge. And, I'm like, the net will come. And so far, so good, but it's been a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a long and short answer of
No, you're great. So we know what you're doing a little bit right now. So what were you doing before all this? What was it?
I was in the mortgage business. So I was one of the top loan originators in the country. I was named last year one of the top 10 most empowering women in mortgage in the world back in 2023. And I gave people home loans. So when someone needed a house, no matter where they were, they would call me, and I specialize in construction lending and VA loans. Those are my 2 favorite, my 2 babies. So I did that for almost 30 years. So I started when I was 19. I'm 48 now. So it's It's been a little while.
Do you feel like it was like you molded into you a little bit, or you enjoyed the whole ride?
I enjoyed the ride. It's I think so many people get focused on, that end result that they forget to enjoy the moments that got you there. The mortgage business was very good to me, and I'm grateful and thankful to have been able to help people for that long. And now it's just like a different way of helping people,
Mm-hmm.
right? Kind of moving on to that next level where I can be more impactful, but in a different way.
Yeah.
Does that make
So,
sense?
yeah, makes sense. So, I mean, obviously we can dive into some other stuff, but so I just want to do the transition from where you were to where you are, right? I know it's not, it's been recent, right? So it's been a couple months.
Yeah, it's like 1.5 months.
Yeah. So, I mean, like this is all fresh and new, and,
Yes.
you're taking on an entrepreneurial role, coaching, and you're coaching others to do the mortgage lending and stuff like that. Is that?
To a point. So I figured that, number one, I have a lot to teach other loan officers about sales and team building and marketing and branding and things like that. So there's two sides to my specialties. Number one is teaching loan officers how to be better loan officers, and then number two is I really decided to specialize in transformational coaching specifically for women. Um, in the realm of women are tired, they don't know how to say no, they don't lead a balanced life, they work, and they're the boss at work, and then they don't know how to come home and how to like flip that switch off, right? And that's what we struggle with. We're tired, and I developed a program where I just go through all these different things with women specifically who want to make profound changes in their life, who are sick of being lost and being tired and want to actually like take control of their futures, their lives, the self-sabotaging roles and things that we keep on doing over and over again. Like when people are like, I'm done. That's when they come to me. And I started kind of doing it last year, but I've really kind of perfected how I'm going to bring them through that transformation. So I have two specialties. I mean, it's almost like I had to be a loan officer coach just because I've been doing it for almost 30 years and I did it at a very high level. But my heart, I really want to help as many women as I can to just realize their voice and their potential, and that they can ask for help and they can lead that balanced life and they don't have to do everything, and really embracing like femininity, and because that's our superpower, right? Along with like leading with authenticity, another superpower that we have. So I try to really bring out, those qualities and traits and show them that it's not weak. It's like, that's a good thing that you're feminine, or that you're asking for help, or that you realize that you don't have to do everything. Like, I mean, I don't know. I guess, okay, side story. Because it bothers me when you watch TV. Okay. I was going to use that as an example. All the commercials, TV shows, they all show men dumb. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
Like it's all about the weak man who like can't possibly survive without the super smart woman. And in that, it drives me insane. Like so much so, like I stopped watching TV, or I'll just turn it off when there's a commercial on like that. And it shows, number one, men that like it's teaching all of them that they're dumb now. Like they're a big bunch of wusses and they can't possibly survive without a woman. And I think that's probably one of the biggest disservices that television has done to relationships and marriage. And I mean, I can go in and talk forever about that. But what it is programmed into us is that we have to do everything, that you're too dumb to have any responsibility. So I have to take on all my roles plus all of your roles. And I'm like, what? We do not have to do that. So I'm trying to like unprogram people into thinking like what's been programmed into us for the past, 10 years or more. So I talk about that a lot. I make a lot of people mad, but at the same time, when people actually start doing those things that I say to do, it's the relationships change. When you let the man lead, right? You can't have, okay, even no matter what kind of relationship it is. Okay. So if it's a same-sex relationship, there's always one man and one female. There's never two guys or two girls. There's always one masculine and feminine. But what we've had programmed into us through television and commercials and stuff like that is that two guys, two strong people, or that the guy's the feminine and the woman's the masculine. So it's messed us up. And I try to deprogram that out of people and show them like it's okay to be a woman, like to be feminine, to let the man lead. Like you don't have to be the boss at work and at home.
You're right.
There you go. Just thoughts by Jen Guidry. So, it's just so fascinating to me because it's screwed so many things up. Like what I've always been like, I'm a commander. Okay. So I'm Myers-Briggs certified. So I can give the test to people. And about 15 years ago, when I first took that test, I was an ENTJ, which is 18% of all CEOs are an ENTJ, which is hugely disproportionate to all the other personality types. And so they call that a commander. So I've always been the leader. I've always been the boss at work. And then when I got home, I thought I still had to be the boss. And so I was like, do this, do that, do that, And then I wondered why every relationship miserably failed is because it don't work that way, as much as we would like to think that it would, at the end of the day, your guy does not want to be with another guy, like another masculine, two masculines in a relationship. It doesn't work.
No, it don't work.
It doesn't work. And I really feel like that's one of my callings is to bring back that, kind of old school biblical, where just because you're submissive doesn't mean you're actually like laying down and just letting someone walk all over you. It's about not having to be in charge of everything. It's about asking for help. It's about asking, allowing, right, the man to lead and to take a leadership role. And when women start doing that, they're like, man, why didn't I do this earlier? Like my relationship is way better. I respect him more. I don't think he's this pushover anymore, because I think a lot of the guys have just given up. They're like, man, we're just a bunch of dumb idiots, because that's what TV says. So I'm not going to stand up and be a man. So there you go. That was probably a lot more than you expected.
No, you're perfect. You're fine. And I agree. I guess you could say it's the feminist movement and all that stuff, everything you listen to, right? And I don't know if you would believe what I would say right now, but I feel like it's slowly going back. I feel like there's a trend where people are starting to switch back. It's a slow one, right? But that's what I feel personally. And it takes somebody like you on the women's side to say, this is how we should show up. And it takes guys like me on the men's side, like, this is how we should show up, and that's when you become compatible and you meet in the middle and you have a balanced life, right? Because like you mentioned, you can't have two masculines, right? Either the male's going to go in the feminine and the female will go in the masculine, and then you're going to, but ultimately you got to make that polarity switch, and it's got to be like, I don't think it can be fast. It's got to be like a slow transition. And I know this stuff sounds weird, but a lot of it's come out a lot lately, and it makes sense. It really does.
Okay. So a lot of my friends, so every powerful woman that I know, every powerful woman, at the end of the day, They want someone to take care of them, not financially. They want a guy who's manly, right? Who makes them feel loved and secure. And that's what they want. They don't want to be the one that takes care of everything. They don't want it. And because of all the PC, I want to say crap that's out there, where you have to like, I don't know, be a feminist, in order to, say that you're a powerful woman. That's not true. It's not true. Like, I don't know one woman who is a CEO or a high achiever or, again, boss at work that doesn't want to come home to a partner that doesn't take care of them, emotionally. And it's, people think when I say that I mean financially, and yeah, that's great and nice, but that's not what we require. We require someone to love us and to make us feel secure and loved. And do I agree with you in what you're saying that I think it is slowly going back because we got in our own way. And feminism, in my opinion, it helped a lot of things, but then there was also a very dirty side to it that caused all these other, confusions about, our roles and relationships and things like that. So while it's been good in some instances, but it's also been really bad in relationships. So yeah, I'm glad kind of switching a little bit.
Yeah. I want to say, I think it's just because it probably made the way like a woman doesn't need a man, and that's the switch is how I perceived the whole feminist movement in a way. Is people were saying we don't need you. Do you know what I mean? And women feel like they have the higher power. I'm not speaking for all of them. You know what I mean?
No, I mean I think your statement's super true. There's especially like the younger generation now. I mean, like they don't even want to define having a boyfriend. Like that's like, oh no. I'm not letting a guy hold the door open for me. And I'm like, that's the best thing in the world. Like you got to get that out of your head. Just because you can do it yourself does not mean that you should do it yourself. I can do a lot of things myself. I don't want to do them all myself, and a lot of people feel like that, but I think they're too afraid to say it. Or they have that so just ingrained, right, in program. Like, I'm independent. I don't need a man. Well, like, great. Yeah, you don't need a man, but life is freaking a lot better when you do. When you have a partner that actually like takes care of you and loves you and pulls the door open for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, you don't see it all the time.
Yeah. Like, I watch, is he going to open the door for my husband? I mean, again, I can open up my own door, but I like it a heck of a lot better when he does it. Yeah. And he does.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. I don't know if you know Gordon through BLN or not, but we met at a restaurant just to talk and stuff, and we were waiting for our table. And I did exactly what you were just saying there. I just sat there watching couples go in and out. And for the most part, it was the woman getting the door, and walking through. For the most part, there was some older gentlemen that knew what they were grabbing the door and letting the woman walk out first and all that stuff. But I could count on, all my toes and fingers at how many women just went for it. Yeah. And that's, I agree with you, with it. It's something got lost along the way, and they I don't know, women as a whole or whatever you want to call it is just, I don't need to do that. Like, you know what I mean? Like I could do it myself, like you just shared, but yeah, I mean, I could do stuff myself too, but I don't want to do everything either, and that's why you would want a woman on the other end of it.
I mean, I feel like that's why so many things are just messed up now. It's because we just need to get back to basics. Like we went so far out, right? From, I would say just basic biblical teaching. We went so far out and things got so muddy. And, now people are like, wow, this actually kind of sucks, right? And then they're like, okay, where do we go wrong? Mm-hmm. It all bases from, deviating from how we were actually made, again, whether people like what I'm saying or not, that's ingrained in us, and it's ingrained in us for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And, the whole notion of, I don't need a man, like that, what you call it song? I can buy my own flowers.
Yeah, exactly right. That's teaching all the young girls they could do whatever they want. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I could buy my own flowers too, and I can hold my hand, but sure is better when Michael holds my hand. So then that was such a theme song for so many women. And I'm like, why? That is not a theme song you want to emulate. Mm-hmm. It's not.
Yep. Yeah.
So I know we went off on a huge tangent.
No tangents at all. This is a discussion we're talking. Yeah. So what would you say to women coming to you for help? I mean, how would you get something like this started?
Having a conversation, tell me about your relationships. Tell me about what your life is like when you get home. Because, I'm a big proponent of a true measure of success for me is not how much money you make, is, are you happy when you're on your way home? Are you excited to get home and to be with your family? Right. So we have those conversations. And then we have the conversations of like, how do you treat your husband? How does he treat you? What are your roles? I can tell you so many stories, like from when I was in mortgage. I mean, again, for almost 30 years, I'd have all these customers sit in front of me, and I would watch their interactions with each other. And I would watch how they talk to each other. And man, that taught me a lot about, man, I don't want to be that way. Like, having someone be belittled, and a lot of women, I would say actually mostly women did it to the man in front of me, where they would be like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Or, you don't know. Or maybe if you would fix that fence you've been saying to fix for, 5 years, and I would think to myself, I wouldn't say this out loud because they were my customers, but I'd be like, well, maybe if you'd shut up and stop asking every 5 freaking seconds or rigging it up, to bring, to dig. Like, I wouldn't do it either if you asked me and was a jerk every single time you brought it up. There's a way to ask, an effective way to ask. And, again, it's kind of like part sales technique, right? But the dynamics is so interesting. So I ask a lot of questions and really get them to open up about what their life is like. Like, how are you at work? How do you handle conflict? Like, one of the best things that I learned, we talk about love languages. Mm-hmm. Okay. Everyone's all about, what's your love language? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what is your partner's pissed off language? Like, how do you know, like, how should you react when, like, I'll just use Michael, when he gets mad? Okay. So my initial thing, and this is strictly being a fixer, right, is I want closure right away. I want to end the fight or the argument or whatever. I want to talk about it, and I want to get it all over right away. And when we were first married, I tried that technique on him, and he doesn't have that same language as me at all. So when I would go and just kind of follow around going, are you still mad at me? Or, like, that made it worse. So what I learned was that his mad language was, I need to leave him alone. And I need to back off, and I need to just do my own thing, let him think about what he did or said, or whatever that thing is he got mad at, or his reaction, and then let him come back to me. And once I figured out, like, I can't fix what he's doing, I got to let him do his own thing, and then he'll come back every single time. So when I started chilling out about it and stopped trying to fix every detail and, want immediate closure, relationship got so much better. And then I started using that little technique in, like, other areas of my life of, okay, when someone's, angry, customers, whatever, you have to learn what they like or how they process, disagreements and things like that. And, we don't do that in marriage or relationships. We think that the way that we would do it is the only way, but there's not. So when you learn your partner's, I call it their pissed off language or their mad language, your relationship changes. And when women that I've coached, when they started doing that, they're like, oh my God, that's so much better. He only stayed mad for like 10 minutes. I just left him alone. And they're like, that was like the best thing you ever gave me right there. And I'm like, exactly. So it's like, they don't teach that stuff anywhere. But once you figure it out, you're like, that makes a big difference. And it's,
what was it like? What was it like for you when you tried that first? I mean, like, he was probably eating you up because you didn't get your closure.
oh, it killed me. It killed me. It killed me. But I was just like, okay, I have to respect his, like, he's not me.
Yeah.
You know, he's not me. And it's even now, you know, it's like we'll get in a little tip about something. I'll be like, all right, just go leave him alone. I'm gonna walk into the room, I'll go read, I'll just whatever. And then 10 minutes later he'll come around like, I'm sorry. And you know, but people just, again, I mean, you don't know what your partner's like. I mean, those are the conversations that you need to have, but people actually don't ever have those because they make assumptions on how they need to, you know, fight or make up. And, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's just that one little thing makes such a difference. And, you know, it's, you know, I have not been coaching for a long time. I will tell you that, but I did get very extensively trained, of grueling, I call it a grueling program over a year. And then I just started naturally going, okay, you know, so I have my own technique. And it's funny because, I mean, there's women that are coming to me once they find out that I'm coaching, and there's more people that are coming going, you know, and then we'll have our sessions and they're like, girl, like I'll get text messages or like we had this huge fight and I just stepped back and didn't feel like I had to, you know, say the things I usually say. And we made up like 15 minutes later and it didn't escalate like it usually does. So just little thing. That's kind of like why I mean, I gave up a very great career that I could have easily just skated through the rest of my working, you know, days, years. Very comfortable, very well established. And I said, you know what? I'm meant to do, and I felt it with everything, just like with the speaking. I am meant to do something so much more than just, I keep on saying just do mortgage loans, because it was more profound than that, but than to stay behind a desk.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I really want to help other people in their relationships, in their success, in their balance. So I gave everything up. Everyone's like, you're insane. Well, everyone that doesn't know me well, I'll put it that way, said, you're making a monumental mistake. You're so well established, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, like I have been called to do this. And, you know, I believe that this is my next step in life. And so far, so good. I'm getting on a roll, and really been more speaking than coaching, but I've also been developing this platform that we were just talking about.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of work, but I know just like what you're doing, it's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it. You're following your calling, what you're supposed to be doing. And I'm doing the same.
Right.
So it's a cool feeling.
Huh?
A cool feeling. Like I feel like for a long time.
Right. I mean, I didn't know you prior to all this, but I mean, I could tell that you're very passionate and you're enjoying what you're doing, and you're not insane to the people that you're helping. You know what I mean? Like, they're loving it too. So keep going. 'Cause you know, I haven't really had this kind of conversation with too many people, especially guests, you know, mm-hmm. and I've had maybe 2 I can think of that were women. So it's kind of a totally different switch for me when I talk to a woman about this. Mm-hmm. And not to say that men come on as a bad side either, but they're trying to share their side as trying to be masculine and stuff. And, you know, mm-hmm. I wanted to ask, when the women decide to not like go back, or you don't go back after, you know, your husband and stuff, and to try to fix things right away, does that, would you say that puts you in the feminine state still, and he's becoming more masculine?
I mean, so we choose. I mean, I guess it's a version of me being submissive, right? But submission is, it's not like I'm less than. I am choosing to be submissive. I'm choosing to just let him be, and also showing him respect, you know? And we've lost a lot of that in, you know, just in the way that our world has gone, right? With the, I don't need a man thing. And we forgot that, you know, I know it's been written in a bazillion books that men need respect and women need love. And when you have a relationship that is like that, then great things happen. So by being submissive, in the, I would say, I don't know if that's a general sense, but it's, I'm choosing to be submissive. So it doesn't mean like I'm letting him roll all over me. I'm choosing to submit to what he wants versus what I want.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's not easy. I mean, I still struggle with it. I mean, but it's a choice. It's a conscious choice, and it doesn't make me less than. And that's what I have to, you know, really remember. Right? It's, I'm choosing to do this.
That's great. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Appreciate it. Yeah. And, you know, on my side, I went through that kind of path with coming home from work. You know, you kind of decompress as a guy, you know, say work was stressful. You don't want to come home being angry, yelling at everybody, you know, the kids and, you know, the mom that's been home all day, taking care of them, cleaning the house or whatever, right there, you know, so I'm sure you're sharing this with the women, you know, when they come home, in a sense that, you know, you kind of decompress in the car before you get out, you know, before you come into the house. And maybe you have a routine when you come into the house, you just jump in the shower right away to kind of like wash the day away, is how it was described to me. Or you find something else before you just go, you know, just, you know, let it rip. So I mean, maybe that's kind of like the same way that you're helping them out, you know, is how it was described to me as a guy too. Yeah.
But I mean, I know, I mean, for me personally, sometimes I'd come home and, you know, again, in the mortgage business or when you're coaching or, I mean, all that stuff. I mean, you're talking to people all day. So anyone in sales, anyone who's like in any sort of like role where you're on the phone, you know, 6 hours a day, like when I get home, like, I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't, you know? And, you know, we had that conversation, just like, let me just chill for a little bit. I'm gonna have a glass of wine. I'm gonna just deep breathe a little bit, decompress, and then I'll come around, you know, let me just kind of chill and just quiet my mind, you know, for 5 or 10 minutes or 30 minutes sometimes.
Yeah.
Depending on the complexity of the day or how much I was on the phone all day. You know, and it's also like having that conversation with my family, you know, like, I don't want to talk on the phone when I get home. Like, I'm calling you on my way. Like, but when I get home, like, that phone is going in my little charging cup and I'm turning it off.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to have, I mean, this is just my own personal preference, but like when I get home, like, I don't want to, I've been on the phone all day. Like, I don't want to talk to someone for an hour, like on the phone. I don't.
Yeah.
But a lot of people won't have those conversations and they'll just feel guilty, right? And this is the kind of things that the women that I'm starting to coach, I'm like, you know, you can say no. You can just say, look, I'll call you on my way home. I got 30 minutes. You'll have my undivided attention. But when I get home, I'm home. I'm done. I'm going to spend the time with my family. I don't want to talk for an hour on the phone, you know? And I made a lot of people mad, especially like when I first started. Everyone is cool with it now because I mean, it's been a long time, but it's like, we're too afraid to have those conversations. And I'm like, if people would just communicate and say, you know, I call it like communication with transparency, right? When you're leading with authenticity, when you're telling people the rationale behind the decisions that you're making, people understand, you know, just like when I said to customers, I am not working after 5:30. When I get home, it's my time for my family. And I'm also not working on the weekends because that is my family time. I am laser focused at work, 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday. You know when you're buying a house, you know when you're going to go look because you have it scheduled ahead of time. Don't call me on Friday night at 5:30 asking me for a prequal letter when you didn't even do an application yet. Like that's, and when I started doing that, I went and everyone's like, Jen, like there's no one in mortgage that is not available 24/7. I said, watch me. I said, I am going to be that person and I'm going to start setting precedents as to drawing boundaries for personal time because it's ridiculous. And I did it. And everyone's like, your business is going to go down. Well, I doubled my business because people respected the boundaries that I drew. And we don't do that. And I'm like, it's totally possible. Like, you don't have to work 24/7. You can say no. And when you tell your customers, this is when I work and this is why I do it, they completely respect it.
Okay.
Completely respect. I never got any pushback at all.
That's great. Yeah. And I was just going to say, I was going to mention boundaries, but you mentioned it before me. So that's exactly what you're doing. And, you holding your ground, like you said, you double your business and people respecting you. And that's all it needs to be done. But people don't do it. They're afraid of what's going to happen on the other side, thinking that they're thinking that they're the bad guy and stuff. And, sorry, she wants to get in on it, I guess.
I love.
She's got a lot to say. My dog's
like rough.
that's the first. She's never jumped up on me for that. But
must be resonating with her.
that must be, yeah. She's in her feminine state right now.
Yeah. She's being like needy, right? No, I was kidding. With love. See?
Yeah, she wants to play. That's what she wants to do. No, Jen, I enjoyed this conversation, and we probably didn't even scratch the surface of everything that you had going on in your life and your journey. But yeah, no, this is great. And I sometime down the road we should connect again and do this again, or outside of this if needed. But having you on again to see where you are speaking, helping other women with their relationships and stuff, I would love to hear what's going on. How does somebody connect with you for, I don't know, if you're looking for speaking engagements or you're also looking for coaching people?
So the website I just divided. So I'm a professional speaker. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So the website that I just launched, it is called thehighlevellife.com. And the name of my company is brilliantly bold, but I have decided to put my coaching platform on thehighlevellife.com. You can check that out. And we are in the middle of building my speaking platform website right now. So I won't give that one, but I kind of put both of those on that particular website.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how people can get a hold of me. Pretty easy. Or if you just Google Jen Guidry, come on.
Number one, right? Number one on Google.
On the first and second page. So, all my marketing efforts have paid off big time.
That's right.
Yeah, but I'm here to help. And, again, probably everyone's not going to, agree with what I said, but, there's everyone's different. And I just know that from, my friends and the people that I've helped so far, that some of my ideas, when you implement them, they help a lot. And I really want to show people, like, you can have high functioning success and well-being at the same time. You don't have to choose between them. You can have both.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll leave you with today, my friend.
Awesome. I was going to ask you my last question then.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. And you kind of answered a little bit there already, but what are 3 key things you learned and used along your journey?
See, first is that you have to be resilient. You're going to get knocked down 100 times, and you have to just dust yourself back off and get your butt back up. And when, especially in leadership, when people see someone who is leading, again, authentically leading, and they see them go through something that's really difficult and they see them get right back up, that teaches other people resilience, and they respect you more also because it makes you real. And then speaking about being authentic, right? That truly is our superpower. And I remember when I was a young manager, I thought that I had to rule with an iron fist and, just be like, my production spoke for itself and that I didn't need to really develop who I was, my character, right? And when I realized that being my goofy self, because I'm a goofball, like people always they're surprised at how goofy I am when they meet me because they think I'm this I don't know, this banker person. I don't even know what people think of me, but it's usually not what I actually am. Like when people meet me, they're like, wait, I thought you were here, and I'm like, I'm over here. That, just being authentic in leadership is so important. Let people see you, for who you are. Because that, again, I talk about superpowers. That is a superpower. And then I think my third one is you just don't be afraid to fail. Don't. I mean, it's people don't do stuff anymore. And I look back at it's the when they started giving out trophies for every freaking thing, right? That was everybody was afraid to fail because if you actually failed in real life, it was devastating. But I'm a kid, I was born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s, and we're the ones who didn't wear helmets or seatbelts, and my mom stopped us from hitting the windshield by putting her arm out, and it's we failed all the time. I mean, we broke bones, we skinned our knees, we got concussions, we fell off the monkey bars, and we screwed up in life, but we failed, and we just kept on going, and we need to bring that back. Of failure is the best things in my life have come from the worst failures that I have ever had. And, and just when you think I can't believe I did this, or I can't believe this happened, or man, I went for this and I fell on my face, something really good, you're being pruned for a reason. And that pruning is a beautiful thing. And it makes you blossom in ways that you would never imagine. So you can't be afraid to fail. I could, again, quit my job, quit my career. I could 100% fail, 100% fail. But I still went for it anyway. I walked off that cliff and I just did it. And I don't regret it one bit. And I'm still not, it's going to take me a while. I mean, I don't have unrealistic expectations as to, what all of that's going to look like, right? I know I'm going to have to work my butt off just like I did 30 years ago. But that's cool. I'm ready for it. Yeah. Not ready. If I don't do something right and learn from the mistakes I make, but you got to go for it. If you want to, you got to take risks. If you want to be successful, calculated risks. You can't just be, crazy all willy-nilly, but with great risk though, does come great reward. So I guess who cares if anyone else thinks you're crazy? Just do what you feel here.
It's awesome. Good. Yeah. And I agree with everything you just said. And I appreciate you sharing all that. And I thank you for coming on, Jen, and sharing everything about feminism, feminine, masculinity.
Major tangents, but
no, but it's said, right? I mean, who's it out to? The people that need it the most, and so there's no shame in what was said, what was discussed. It's what you're doing, it's what you're passionate about, and that's what you should be expressing. So thank you for coming on again. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me, John.
Oh, you're welcome.